The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Holbrook Fire Department, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 39718. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting first, just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks. These are not intended for towing, 6,000-pound direct pull, and are used for operational use. Moving to the face of the front bumper, you'll find dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. Moving over to the face of the front bumper on the driver's side, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving just up onto the bumper extension, D-handle gives you access into the hose storage location. There are emergency warning lights forward facing on the front grille and then just below the front grille. Also, you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights and marker turn indicator. As we move to the very top section of the hood, you'll find grab handles for gaining access for tilting the hood. As we move to the A pillar of the door, you'll find a flat mirror and convex mirror both on passenger and driver side. Moving up to the top of the roof, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. You'll also find a forward-facing floodlight, and on the roof of the vehicle, emergency warning light bar. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of close-ups of the items we just talked about, first starting with those front tow hooks. Then moving on now to the siren and air horns. Moving to the bumper extension on the top, D-handle is the location for your storage location. As we access this location, you'll find dry deck material on the bottom and a swivel discharge on the rear wall. Moving now up to the emergency warning lights. Moving further up onto the hood is where you'll find the grab handles for gaining access for tilting the hood. And then as we move all the way up to the roof line, you'll find forward-facing floodlight and also your identification clearance lights. Moving now to the side bumper extension, side-facing emergency warning lights, close-up of the headlight structure, low and high beam headlights, and turn indicator. Onto the side where you'll find your air inlet for your engine, and as we move down to the front wheel, you'll find Alcoa wheel and Michelin tires. Let's focus in on the cab section next, starting on the driver's side, first with your Alcoa wheel and Michelin tire. As we move forward to that location on the bumper extension, this is the side-facing emergency warning light, part of the lower emergency warning lights. As we move toward the rear portion of the axle in the front, you'll find your DEF fill location is the blue cap. Right next to that, you'll find slightly above auto eject shoreline inlet. And then also toward the rear, you'll find your ultra low sulfur diesel. It is the silver cap. Easily accessible with the gloved hand. It is a door lock and latch combination. They are keyed. Right next to it is the grab handle for maintaining 3 points of contact for entry and exit into the vehicle. Here are some close-ups, first starting with the step and also the DEF tank. Blue cap indicating DEF fill location. As we move to the silver cap, this is the ultra low sulfur diesel fuel location. Just up from this location is the shoreline inlet auto eject 20 amp. And then just underneath this space where the cab is located, you'll find additional LED lighting. This is to illuminate the step area. Let's go ahead and move inside the cab area. On the exterior, you'll find flat and convex mirror on the A pillar. As we move into the cab area, you'll find manual window controls, grab handle lock, door latch combination. At the top section, you'll find mirror control for left and right mirror. As we move into the space in the cab, just below the base of the seat, it's where you'll find the master battery switch. It is a quarters turn. Just up from this location, you'll find this yellow placard indicating information regarding your vehicle from Pierce, date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, the gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each of the component, fluid capacity, and also fluid type. When plugged into Shoreline Power, the battery voltage indicator will illuminate, indicating battery status. At the left floor area, you'll find your electronic siren foot pedal. About the left knee of the operator is the vehicle data recorder port. As we move up, you'll find a yellow placard indicating height, 9 feet 11 inches, 31 feet 4 inches on length, 43,000 gross vehicle weight rating. Let's move down toward the steering column. On the left-hand side, you'll find windshield wiper control. Moving now to the dash area, where you'll find the dash cluster. On the left, you'll find oil pressure. Moving on to the right side, you'll find the DEF level. Moving up to the two larger gauges, you're going to find first on the left-hand side your RPM gauge for your tachometer. Moving to the right, you'll find your miles per hour. And then moving up to the very top, you'll find additional gauges. First, water temperature on the left-hand side. You'll find PSI for front and rear, and then also fuel gauge on the right. Diagnostic information will display within the display screen in the center. On the right side of the cluster, you'll find your shift. Moving now to the right side of the dash, where you'll find your joystick for accessing the menu on the digital screen, and then also ignition lower right hand side. As we move further to the right area, you'll find 12-volt access via barrel style and also USB A and C. Moving to the right, yellow diamond, pull to apply your system parking brake, push to release. These are the rear spring brakes. Moving up to the top, starting on the left-hand side, you'll find your four-way flashers, exhaust brake, off-road traction control, trans mode, auto neutral, parked regen, and regen inhibit. Moving down, climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Moving further to the right, you'll find your filter minder for your engine air filter. Moving just downward, 12-volt access once again, barrel style USB-A and USB-C. Moving now down to the bottom section, once again 12-volt access. System parking brake, and then you also have some cup holders located in the center section. As we move to the center console area, we'll start on the very upper section where you'll find tally lights, switch panel, and we'll go through those next. First, starting at the very top, you have your tally lights here. Moving down, all of your emergency warning lights are located in the next switch panel down. As we move further down, you'll find your high idle switch and also air electric horn switch for selecting. Moving to the right, all of your scene lights are located here for front, driver, passenger, and also a load manager. Traffic advisor located in the lower section. General view here, you'll have your 12-volt barrel style access. As we move to the far right-hand side, general view, you also have your pump shift, instructions for its operation. Then as we move further to the right and downward, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Toward the rear of the apparatus, you'll find additional 12-volt access, USB style, and then also storage location for additional items. Let's look overhead of the driver's position. We'll start first on the left-hand side. We have additional netting in the very top section. In the very center section, you'll find seatbelt information. Red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted. Green, they're in the seat and belted. Across the rear cab wall, you'll find SCBA bracketed seats. As we move now to the exterior rear cab section, this is the step area with lighting for that step section. As we move north toward the pump panel or midsection of the apparatus, we'll start at the very top section with your crosslays. There are two, crosslay 1 and crosslay number 2. General view here of the upper section of the pump panel. We'll start in the upper right-hand side in the gray module with your master intake gauge, and then just to the right of that location, your master discharge gauge. In between the two of these large gauges are your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. Let's move down on the pump panel. We'll start with the pressure throttle governor. Please see the owner's manual for its operation. To the right, you'll find a black round speaker. The outer edge of that bezel rotates to allow you to increase or decrease the sound level. Also, you'll find an OK to pump indicator, and then also additional panel lights and driver scene lights and passenger scene lights. Minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. As we move down, front discharge, crosslay 1, crosslay 2. Moving down to the next set of discharges, you're going to find driver 1, passenger 2, and passenger side large diameter discharge. Also, deluge discharge and driver rear discharge. Let's move just to the right where you'll find your water level gauge. It's the blue module. Moving down on the pump panel and slightly to the left, we're going to find our fire pump primer. Also find an engine cooler, tank refill and recirculating line, and also tank to pump. Let's move down on the pump panel to the lower third section. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner from this image, first with some warning information. Warning, pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure, be cautious before removing the cap. Also, warning, entanglement hazard, because those lines coming from aloft in the crosslay, there is the possibility of entanglement. As we move to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. Moving further to the right at the top section of the panel, you'll find the American flag, Pierce Eagle logo. This is your large diameter pump inlet. Moving to the right, an additional warning here regarding fall hazard when climbing on or off the vehicle. Always face the vehicle. Also, you'll find your main pump drain located in the lower right-hand side, and then just beneath this, you'll find the manual pump shift. You'll also find a warning placard here that only trained personnel should be operating this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. As we move down to the left-hand side and across the very bottom section, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Moving further to the left, you'll find the driver's side auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch female inlet, locally controlled via the ball valve. Moving further to the left, you'll find an air inlet, and then also at the very bottom section, you'll find a placard here indicating the Watrous pump, and also a capacity of 1,500 GPM. Let's take a look at the vertical sidewall where you'll find fold down steps for gaining access to go aloft. Now let's move to the body section. You'll find first, just in front of the rear axle, marker turn indicator light. You'll also find in the midsection here, SCBA bottle storage, 3 to the forward section and 3 to the rear. Directly over the axle, emergency warning light, lower zone side facing. As we move to the rear of the axle, you'll find wheel chock storage for 2 folding wheel chocks. As we move up to the very top section, you'll find the side-facing scene lights. And then toward the rear of the apparatus, you'll find an upper zone emergency warning light. And then all the way around to the very rear of the apparatus is the rear-facing scene light. Let's take a look at some close-ups of those items. First, starting at the top with those scene lights, this is the front section of the body. Then we'll move toward the rear section of the body. Just down onto the top of the diamond plate here, you'll find your warning light. And let's go ahead and take a look at the SCBA bottle storage. There are 3 SCBA bottles here with retaining straps. That's forward of the axle. Emergency warning light just over the rear axle. As we move toward the rear portion of the axle, additional storage, 3 SCBA bottle storage with retaining straps here. Let's take a look at the rear axle. Once again, Michelin tires and Alcoa wheel. Now all compartments open. Let's take a look at the first compartment, and we'll start on the vertical sidewall, where you'll find when plugged into shoreline power, the outlet will become active, which in turn activates your battery charger, maintaining battery status. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find a pull-out tray. We're at the rear compartment now. The release mechanism for this is on the lower right-hand side floor level. Close up here of the wheel chock storage. And then we'll take a full view of the side of the vehicle, and we'll move around to the rear of the apparatus next. Starting first at the very top and moving our way down, emergency warning light, license plate bracket and light. And then as we move down, you'll find some cupped switches here. Those cup switches activate first your deck lights and then also the lights in the hose bed area. We do have some warning placards here indicating fall hazard, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. And then also another warning here, fall hazard, when climbing on or off the vehicle, make sure you face the vehicle. As we move to the very rear taillight section, you'll find an emergency warning, brake, turn, and reverse light. As we move toward the center of the apparatus, you'll find a recessed traffic advisor, and then just below the traffic advisor is your backup camera. Let's take a look at the sidewall here, where you have some fold-down steps for gaining access to go aloft. Right next to that, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge, and we have some warning placards within this area also. Let's take a look at those next. First, starting with pressure hazard. Caps, once again, may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And then also a warning regarding entanglement hazard. As we move down just below this area, you'll find an additional fold-down step. There's one on the left side and then also one on the right side. Let's go ahead and move now onto the right side rear section, where you'll find D-handle gains you access to where your ladder storage is located. We'll start at the very top. First, at the very top section, you'll find pike pole storage, 24-foot extension ladder, 14-foot roof, and a 10-foot folding attic ladder. Down at the rear, once again, emergency, brake, turn, and reverse lights. We'll move around now onto the side of the vehicle. Same configuration as far as body compartments are concerned. And then also with the emergency warning lights and also upper zone scene lights. This is the rear scene light. And then moving down to the emergency warning light. This is on top of the diamond plate here. Moving now to the forward section of the body, where you'll find a side-facing scene light, and then into the midsection, where you're going to find SCBA bottle storage, 3 bottles to the rear. Directly in the center, we're going to find an emergency warning light. Side facing, this is directly over the rear axle. As we move forward to this location, SCBA bottle storage for 3 SCBA bottles with retaining straps. Full view here of all compartments open. We'll start first with the rear compartment. Adjustable shelf and a pull-out tray located on the lower right-hand side is the release mechanism. As we move into the over wheel compartment, which is next, adjustable shelf. And then as we move just down beneath the SCBA storage location, you have a marker turn indicator and then also this warning placard indicating extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. That's where the exhaust is ported. Be cautious where you park your vehicle and have a safety plan for regeneration. As we move to the forward compartment, you'll find an adjustable shelf. All compartments have LED lighting and ventilation. As we move to the body forward section, you'll find folding steps for gaining access to go aloft. And we're now to the midsection or pump panel area. We'll start at the very top. These are the cross lays. There are 2 located here, cross lay 1 and cross lay 2. We'll move down, but first let's take a quick look at the full pump panel so you know where things are located. We'll start on the left-hand side with a warning placard indicating warning. When climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. You'll also find an access panel door here. Lift and turn latch will gain you access into this space. Once we're inside or behind the pump panel area at the very top section, you'll find a switch for your pump light. This is for inside this compartment space. Then let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the pump panel as we start down at the very bottom. An additional access panel in the upper left-hand corner. This is the lower section. This access panel is for gaining access into the pressure relief valve located here. You can see the set screw. And then as we move now back out into the items here, we'll start first with a American flag Eagle Pierce logo, large diameter pump inlet for the passenger side. Also a warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious. In addition, an additional warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. Once again, because those lines coming from aloft, we have the possibility of entanglement. As we move down, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. And then across the very bottom section, just above the running board, is where you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's move now to the cab section next. We'll start at the very rear portion of the cab into the crew cab area. As we look inside, once again, 3 seats across the rear cab wall. All of those seats do house SCBA brackets. Then we'll go ahead and move to the forward section where you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. This is on the door A pillar. As we move in, you'll find easily accessible door handles, also grab handles for maintaining 3 points of contact. As we move into the door space, you'll find at each level of step, you'll find additional lighting for those steps. As we move into the officer space, the officer's seat does have an SCBA pack. Underneath that, you're going to find at the floor level, there are 2 foot pedals, one for the air horn and the others for the electronic siren. Underneath the officer seat, you do have additional storage, and that seat also is comprised of an SCBA pack holder. Let's go ahead and look overhead of the officer seat. As we move into the truck, you'll find on the A pillar a grab handle, and then once again, when you're stepping into the truck in or out, you'll find LED lighting at each level of those steps. Let's move now to the forward section. This is directly over the front axle where you'll find an air inlet for the engine. Also, once again, Alcoa wheel and a Michelin tire. As we move to the headlight structure, you'll find low and high beam headlights and a turn indicator and marker light. As we move to the front section of the bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light, part of the lower emergency warning lights. Congratulations, Holbrook Fire Department, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 39718. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.